if it's only 75% as strong, and by the way, why is it only 75% as strong? Here's why. You have this matrix. You have all these collagen fibers in different directions, right? So, this is a great analogy. I would remember this or write this down in a deposition or in court. That if you have, as an example, let's say I have 10 pieces of string. And I take those 10 pieces of string and I lay them all randomly in a circle. One here, one here, one here. In other words, a matrix. And then I go and pull on any directions of those strings. There's a certain amount of force I can pull before those strings will break. Okay? Now, let's take all of those strings that are laid in this way and let's align them up all in this direction right here. So now I got all the strings in this direction. Let's apply the same force. Is it going to break now? No. Now we have huge tensile strength. Now in bone, you know that as what? What? The matrix of bone. You physically see that, especially in the femur, right? You take an x-ray of the femur, you can see that matrix, the density of that matrix of that bone, of those stress lines with absolute clarity, can't you? That's the exact same thing that's happening to the soft tissue. So, when the matrix is spread out like that, it takes a certain amount of tissue. That's why it's weaker, because it's spread out. Well, that's the opposite. When you do the chiropractic adjustment, that's actually what it's doing. It's helping to align the matrix, and that's what helps make the tissue stronger. So that's what makes it weaker. Now, it's not as elastic because it's type 3 collagen. So what does that mean to the patient? So first of all, the strength part. What does that mean to the patient when it's not as strong? They'll go and do a normal activity that they could do fully before the injury. Now they go and do that activity, and what happens? Re-exacerbation, because they can't do it fully. So they have micro lesions, and that's called a re-exacerbation. That's why. Next, elasticity. The type 3 collagen is only 75% as elastic, right? What does that mean to the patient? It means the patient is going to have restrictions. Now, in a common one in chiropractic and personal injury, a very common one, is after a person has been in an auto accident with the neck, very often they can no longer turn their neck when they go to back out. They now have to look in the rearview mirror. What range of motion will become restricted first? Active, passive without overpressure, or joint motion? Joint motion's always first. It's always first. That's the first motion. Think of two joints, right? Two joints. Here's gross up here. Can I get any movement up here with no movement down here? That's normal. That's normal. This has to be abnormal for that to happen. I'm talking about normal. So can I have any normal up here with this joint and no normal motion down here? I can't, can I? Now this can be fixed, right? It can be fixated or fused, and I can have gross range of motion. Are you with me? But all the range of motion starts at the pivot point. Gross range of motion is not the pivot point. That's the range of motion up here. The next range of motion down here is the overpressure. It all starts at the pivot point, and that's called paraphysiological joint space or joint motion. That's where all motion starts, okay? Unless it's aberrant, unless it's fixated, right? In other words, something's wrong, a fixation. That's what typically you see with joint motion, overpressure, fixations. That's where all the problems are in chiropractic, by the way, too. So, having said that, so it's only 70% is elastic. Only 70% is elastic. 70, okay? So what does that mean to the patient? It means they're going to have more restrictions with their neck, with their back, whatever it is they're going to do. Now, when they heal that way, this is why they have pain, restrictions, limited mobility. This is why they alter their behaviors. This is why it affects ADLs. But it doesn't affect them typically in gross range of motion. It affects them in overpressure motion.